My parents sent my husband a watch for his birthday. The moment I saw it, my face went white. Don't touch it, I said. What? Why? He asked. Please, just don't touch it, I whispered. It's a trap. And I was right. We didn't yell. We handled it the next morning. Each of my parents received a letter and began screaming. It had arrived on a Wednesday. The packaging looked ordinary. Standard cardboard box. Nothing that stood out. Just a brown parcel with a shipping label and a cheerful birthday sticker. Someone had peeled off a roll. We had just eaten dinner. Something forgettable in beige. Probably frozen pizza. The kind of meal that leaves a quiet film of guilt on your teeth. He was rinsing off the plates, and I was wiping down the counter when the doorbell rang. That's when we found it. The box. He opened it the way you'd open socks. Interested, but not overly invested. Oh, he said. Your parents sent me something. I glanced over. Did they? That's nice. A watch, he added, lifting a velvet box from inside. Black, sleek, too sleek. One of those moments where your body reacts before your brain catches up. My stomach gave a small churn, a quiet alarm with a fading battery. I dried my hands slowly. He was already sliding his thumb under the lid. Don't touch it, I said. He looked back at me. What? Don't touch it, I repeated firmer this time. Please, it's a trap. He gave me a look like I just told him to store the watch in the refrigerator. What are you even talking about? It's a present. I stepped forward, tugged the tea towel off the oven handle, and gently wrapped the box. Even through the fabric, I could feel the weight, too heavy. Let's check something first, I said. He paused. Check what? I'm not sure yet. Just something. He watched as I carefully placed the bundle on the edge of the table like it might lunge. He didn't laugh. That's when I knew he sensed it too. Whatever it was, maybe not the exact shape of it, but definitely the unease, the wrongness. We sat down. I picked up my phone and took a picture of the watch box. Clean shot, good lighting, not for nostalgia, for documentation. Then I started searching. Manufacturer logo, box design, serial number, retail listings, pricing. It didn't take long. Look at this, I said. He leaned over, blinked. 3,800. Silence fell. Nobody in my family sends anything worth $3,800. Unless it's a medical bill or a last-ditch plea. My brother had only moved out 6 months ago, barely scraped together a down payment for his own place. My parents, far from wealthy, their meals consisted of frozen vegetables and outdated habits. I'd been covering their bills quietly for years, without a second thought, because that's just what you do, right? So, where had the watch come from? He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. Maybe they love me so much they skipped paying for heat just so I could wear time on my wrist in luxury. I didn't laugh. Neither did he. Something shifted in the air, subtle but irreversible. The watch was too much, and I knew it. I didn't want to believe it. Not about my own parents, but I had a hunch where the money had come from. And if I was right, then this wasn't just a present. It was something else. Something dangerous. It was a setup. If you ask my parents, they'll tell you. They always treated us equally, which is true. If by equally, you mean I did everything. And my brother got away with murder growing up. I was the one with lists to do. Lists, chore charts, college applications. My brother had ideas, mostly about how the world was unfair to gifted people who just hadn't figured out what their gift was yet. He dropped out of uni twice and once forgot he was enrolled. Meanwhile, I paid my parents' phone bills quietly, automatically because that's what you do. That didn't change when I met my husband. If anything, it made things more complicated. He wasn't rich. He wasn't powerful. He wasn't even very tall, which my mother found disappointing. But he ran a small local charity that served hot meals to homeless people. And I fell for him the way you fall into a warm bed. After years of standing fast hard, gratefully, he started the charity with nothing. No family money, no investors, just some borrowed folding tables, a church basement, and too much heart for one person to carry. I started helping on weekends. At first, I peeled potatoes and handed out tea. Then I helped with the budget. Then I was there every spare minute I had. Eventually, we got married. The charity grew, not fast, but steady. Word of mouth, community support, a few good donors who believed in what we were doing. We opened a second location, then a third. Still shoestring, still humble, but it was working. We were helping people. And my parents noticed they were heading into retirement by then. Not enough pension, not enough savings. My brother was still living at home, mostly playing with business ideas and forgetting to take the bins out. So, we offered them something, a way to help part-time positions at the charity admin work outreach event coordination. Nothing difficult, nothing fake either, just something small, manageable, and meaningful. It felt like a win. When I thought we were all on the same side 6 months ago, things shifted. My brother moved out, bought an apartment, not rented, bought, he said. He'd launched a tech startup, something about intellectual property. Couldn't talk about it. NDAs, patents, hush-hush partnerships. I asked a few questions, then gave up. He never really understood tech or business or not lying to my face. He just kept saying it was going well. Very well. Around the same time, a new food supplier was brought in. It was my dad's idea. He came to us one afternoon with a folder under his arm and the satisfied look of someone who had done something clever and wanted applause. I found someone. He said he'd done the research. He said he had sampled the food, compared the prices better than our current supplier. He said healthier, cheaper, locally owned. My husband asked a few questions, looked at the numbers. They seemed fine. We trusted him. We signed the contract 3 months in. The complaint started. It was quiet at first. A few people said the food was different. Then, worse, people got sick. Stomach cramps, vomiting. One man ended up in hospital. Dehydrated. He'd eaten nothing else for 2 days. My husband was livid. I hadn't seen him like that before. He went full audit mode. Called shelters, pulled invoices, demanded ingredients, lists. What he found made him physically ill. They were substituting products, cheap meat for quality. Meat, expired, canned goods, off-brand, unlabeled produce, and they were charging us as if it were gourmet. He called a meeting with my parents, told them we were terminating the contract. They pushed back hard. My mother said it was a misunderstanding. My father said, "People exaggerate. The invoices were clear." He insisted the numbers made sense. Despite the complaints, maybe the sick people had eaten something else. It was strange, desperate. My dad got defensive. Quick said, "We couldn't just pull out of a deal over a few unhappy customers." He said, "Canceling the deal would ruin business relationships," said it would look bad. "We're running a charity, not a restaurant." He said, "Do you think Michelin stars matter here?" He was angry. Not just protective, not worried, angry. The more they argued, the more it felt like something else was going on, something beneath the surface. They weren't just defending a supplier, they were defending themselves. And then, just as my husband was preparing to send the termination notice, the box arrived. His birthday was that week. We weren't doing much, just takeaway and a movie, maybe a walk if it didn't rain. When the parcel came, he thought nothing of it, smiled, said something about my mother. Finally remembering the date. It was a watch wrapped in luxury black velvet box. Heavy, too heavy. He was about to touch it. I stopped him. You already know how the rest played out. The next morning, we barely exchanged words. He brewed the coffee. I burned the toast. Not intentionally, but I didn't make a second batch either. It somehow felt fitting. Charred edges, a quiet kitchen, two people silently turning over the same thought without speaking it aloud. The box still sat on the counter, wrapped in the same tea towel I'd used the night before, unopened, untouched, watching us. I wrote 2 letters and sealed them in plain envelopes. He didn't ask what I had written. He already understood. He lifted the watch as if it were ticking, not just audibly, but like it had wires, a countdown. He used a clean dish towel to hold it by the corners, careful not to touch the leather, the velvet, or even the box beneath. He didn't let out a breath until it was completely rewrapped and returned to its original packaging. Then we got in the car. The drive was wordless. We weren't arguing, we weren't withdrawn. We were simply bracing like that stillness you hold on to right before a storm batters the glass. Not theatrical, just practical. At the charity office, my parents were already inside at their desks, pretending to be occupied. I saw my mom rereading the same email. My dad had a spreadsheet open, but was scrolling through his phone. Neither looked up when we entered. We didn't stop at reception. We walked straight to the staff room. Neutral ground. No clients, no spectators, just harsh lighting and mismatched chairs. He handed over the box. I passed them the envelopes. My father looked down at both items, then back at us. "What is this?" he asked. "Open it," I replied. And they did. 2 printed letters, polite, formal, immediate termination, 1 month's pay, no further involvement. My mom looked stunned, like something had stuck in her throat. "You're firing us?" she asked. "Yes, just like that. Exactly like that." My father stood up, his chair scraping loudly on the linoleum. "We're your family." "Not anymore," I said. He looked at me like I was speaking a language he didn't know, like I had forgotten my assigned lines in some play. "We've done nothing wrong," he said. "No," I responded. Then I pulled out my phone, opened the browser, and showed them the listing again. The watch. The price. "Want to explain where this came from?" They didn't answer. "Why would you send that to him? You couldn't even afford to repair the boiler last winter. I paid that bill for you." Still silence. "So, I'll ask again. Where did you get the money for the watch?" My father shrugged. "It was a gift." "An incredibly expensive gift," I said. "We thought he deserved something nice," my mother chimed in. "Is generosity a crime now?" "No," I said, just suspicious. That's when they both began talking at once, fast, flustered, defensive. You don't understand how hard it's been. The supplier was legitimate. We were only trying to support your brother. That last part made me stop cold. What does he have to do with this? My dad shut down. My mom turned her face away. Why were you pushing so hard for that company? I asked. What was all the urgency about? Why lie about the food quality? People got sick. You knew that. They were exaggerating, my father muttered. One of them ended up in the hospital. He had no response. You had something to gain from that contract, didn't you? My mother snapped. We didn't do anything illegal, my dad followed. We just made a smart deal. You're the one making it ugly. I leaned forward. So that's where the watch came from. Neither of them corrected me. I felt my chest burn, not with rage, with the slow, sad heat of confirmation. You knew what you were doing, I said. And you gave it to him, knowing what it would look like, knowing what it could do to him if anyone found out. My mother crossed her arms. It's not like we told him to accept it, but you knew what it was. They didn't answer. You put him in danger. You put the charity in danger. And for what? Do you want to be poor your whole life? My dad shot back. Do you want to keep scraping by while people like that catering company make real money? People got sick. No one died yet. Silence. Then he said it. You care more about how things look than about your own family? I nodded slowly. Not because I agreed, but because I finally understood. No, I said. I care about right and wrong, and this was wrong. What you did was wrong. All of it. My mom looked like she might cry. Didn't I need space? I said a lot of it. No more calls, no more favors. I'm done. You don't mean that, my dad said. I looked him dead in the eye. I do. And I want you to leave now. They left, not in a dramatic slam. The doorway just slow, quiet, like they knew something had shifted and they couldn't shift it back. I stood in the doorway and watched them walk away. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stayed there holding the silence like it was something fragile for the first time in my life. I didn't feel like the daughter. I felt like the grown-up in the room. It started with pounding on the door, not a knock. A pounding like someone meant to break it down or make a point. I opened it slowly. My brother stood there, face flushed, breathing hard, like he'd sprinted across town in bad shoes. What did you do? He snapped. No, hello, no preamble. Good morning to you too, I said. He looked past me. Is he here? My husband appeared behind me, silent, calm, but not smiling. Why don't you tell us what this is about? He said. My brother rolled his eyes. You know exactly what this is about. You're trying to ruin us. You're going to get us all killed. Well, that escalated. What happened? I asked, keeping my voice flat. You canceled the contract. He said you were supposed to stay quiet. Just let it run. Now the deal's off. And we've got people asking for their money back. Who? He hesitated. That half-second pause gave it away. What people? I asked again. He didn't say their names, but he said enough. They paid up front. Now, the contract's dead and we didn't deliver. They want their money, all of it. And they're not exactly the kind of people who send polite emails. So, let me get this straight. I said, You took money from someone to push a deal through, and now that deal is falling apart because we refuse to poison people with expired meat, and you're the victim. I didn't know the food was bad, he said quickly. Of course you didn't, I said. Because you never ask questions when money's involved. He folded his arms. I'm going to have to sell my apartment. You realize that maybe you shouldn't have bought it with money that wasn't yours? I was helping the family, he snapped. No, my husband said, finally stepping forward. You were helping yourself. There was a long, thick silence. Then my brother spoke again. Lower now. If you bring the supplier back, this can still be fixed. We're not bringing them back, I said. You should think about what happens if you don't. Was that a threat? My husband asked. It was a fact. He said, we didn't slam the door in his face, but it was close. 3 days later, the post started showing up anonymous accounts, old Facebook groups, local forums, even the charity's Google reviews. Did you know the manager drives a car worth more than your donations? Ask them where the Rolex came from. You think the homeless are getting fed? They're feeding themselves. One account posted the watch photo, blurry but unmistakable. Then came the messages to donors, the emails, the tagged posts, the hashtags. By the end of the week, 2 sponsors paused their donations. One event was quietly canceled. We met in the office late one night. My husband looked exhausted. The staff were rattled. Our volunteer coordinator was crying in the kitchen. I stood in front of the bulletin, bored, and stared at the wall like it had answers. Then my phone rang. State Department of Charitable. Oversight. I didn't even know that was a thing until that moment. They wanted to talk leadership review, anonymous tips, mismanagement concerns. They were very polite, which made it worse. I hung up and looked at my husband. He didn't ask what the call was about. I think he already knew the next day my parents called, or maybe it was the brother using their phone. I didn't answer. Then, the email came, simple, short, no sign off. If the supplier is reinstated and our positions restored, the attacks will stop. I read it 3 times. The 4th time, I laughed. Not because it was funny. My husband sat down next to me. We should report it, he said. I nodded. Let's do it tomorrow. We didn't sleep much that night. We went to the police the next morning. We brought everything, the emails, the supplier reports, the volunteer testimonies, the screenshots of the attacks. We told them everything about the contract, the resistance, the pressure, the subtle threats, the email. The officer who took our statement didn't flinch. You're not the first, she said. This is happening more often these days, but you did the right thing by coming forward. I wanted that to be true. I needed to believe we weren't already too late. That truth still mattered, even when it arrived in a plain envelope and smelled, faintly, of reheated soup. As we stepped out of the station, I glanced back at the door. It didn't slam. It shut gently, purposefully, like it knew we were stepping into a new chapter, the one where everything finally came to light. 6 months later, it hit the headlines. Front page of the local paper, a 2-page spread in a regional magazine, even a radio feature. The story had it all. A charity scandal, a bribery, betrayal, and the plot twist no one expected. A daughter who turned in her own family. My parents were sentenced to 18 months in federal prison. Charges, conspiracy, fraud, bribery, fines, $50,000. Most of their savings gone, their reputation destroyed. No more neighborly nods at the post office. No more warm memories in the community. The court confirmed it. The watch had been part of the bribe alongside a $15,000 payment quietly wired to my father's account just weeks before the contract approval. Money that ultimately helped my brother cover his apartment deposit. He got probation. 200 hours of community service at a food bank of all places. The apartment he bought seized. The catering company a facade. He went quiet after that. The business fell apart. Its CEO was sentenced to a year in prison, hit with fines, a revoked license, and a public fall from grace. The website disappeared. Their name became a cautionary tale in nonprofit circles. And us, we were cleared officially, publicly. The regulator issued a statement. Donors returned. Volunteers came back. The board voted unanimously to reaffirm my husband's leadership. In the staff kitchen, there was fresh coffee and fresh hope. I returned to work. Real work. Honest work. The kind that feeds people, that grounds you, that reminds you, every single day, why you chose to take a stand. Before I reported them, I thought it would haunt me. I imagined waking at 3 a.m., guilt gnawing at my ribs. I expected to hear my mother's voice accusing me of betraying blood. But I don't. I sleep well. Better than I used to, actually. Because each day I walk into that shelter and witness someone enjoying a hot meal. Every day I hear a genuine thank you. And every single day I see the people we serve, the ones who truly matter. And I feel it. Peace. I did what was right, not what was easy, not what was painless, but what was right. There's clarity in that. I haven't spoken to my parents. They sent a letter. I haven't opened it. Not because I'm angry, but because it's done. Some chapters close. And that's okay. This morning, I walked into the kitchen. The radio played something silly and upbeat. The bread was fresh. Someone spilled soup and laughed. One of the new volunteers was showing someone how to chop onions without tears. It was noisy, messy, alive. It was good, and it was ours. So now I ask you,